Back to the Evil Within. This is the Evil Within 2. We are in chapter 12 of the game. You may or may not remember, but in the last episode, we blew up the device that was supposed to be hiding Theodore from the rest of Union. When it blew up, we were standing there with Torres, but about mid-blow up, Torres disappeared. And then we had this booming voice of Theodore Wallace telling us, fine, you want to come after me. And then the world shifted and spun around, and we found ourselves ankle deep in a lake of blood. We went through a whole area, exploring it kind of exhaustively, and we got to the iron gate that we opened at the beginning of this episode. That iron gate opened to yet another one of these areas with just a lake of blood and a lot of zombies. Remember in the last area we got caught by one of those that exploded on us. It does a lot of damage. That's why we're at about half health. The explosion is always loud, and it always brings other zombies that are nearby. Some that aren't even all that nearby. So here we are in the second of these areas. It turns out that there are three of these areas. In the first area, what we found was a handgun pouch. In this area, we will find a document, and that's about all there really is of interest in the area if you're searching for objects. Of course, this is our blind playthrough, so we don't know this. Therefore, every player there's a flickering candlelight is a place that we think we have to go explore and find out what's there. It's mostly a game of stealth because of the way we're playing it, trying to explore every place that there's a candle lit. We don't want to use a gun, that's going to echo within this chamber and bring zombies to us, and B, we probably don't have enough ammo to kill everything that way, and since we're going to look in every place, we assume that we're probably going to have to kill everything. These games have always, the efforts that the developers put into the fake difficulty. In other words, the tightness of resources makes it hard, but they will drop enough ammo and resources for you to get through. And I'm not good at adjusting for that. If I don't have enough, if I don't think I have enough ammo, then I go into stealth mode, sometimes even beast mode, trying to get through rather than relying on the game mechanics actually giving me enough eventually. Since this is the first video of the week, I want to point out what a blind playthrough is. This is Brian and Jackie playing the game for the first time. We have no more idea what is here than you do. Unless, of course, you've already played the game, in which case you have more. You're just reviewing it and having fun watching the video, then you may have more of a feeling for what's here than we do. At the time this game was played, it was a couple of months ago. Myself speaking now as the narrator, I've had enough time that we've finished the game now 4 times, so I know what's going on, and I can point out what we didn't know as we go through it, such as in that whole area. Now we came back through that same door that just opened up, so we're back in the first area. But for instance, I can tell you there are 3 of these areas, and through the gates getting up to the gates is the first area that's completely disorienting. The second area, you're a little bit more oriented because you just went through the first area. But at the same time, it's very dark. You can't see a whole lot. And it seems like a very large and open space to explore. I can tell you that there's another space just like it that's big and open to explore. So in this episode, we're going to spend our time getting through those 2 areas. At the end of those 2 areas, we are rewarded with a lot of revelation that happens to the storyline. But I'll wait until we get there so that you can see it. I don't want to spoil anything. blind playthrough, like I said, means that we don't... This is the first time we just booted the game when we started playing it. We don't know anything more about the game than just what was on the store page at Epic. This was given to us by Epic for free in 2023. We weren't special in any sort of way. It's just that they gave it away to anybody that was interested for free. I'm hoping that Bethesda/Tango in 23, maybe Microsoft already owned Bethesda by that time, so maybe they just paid Microsoft a lot of money to offer it for free. But probably millions of copies were taken at that time. You can see that we are not practicing the Prowler move. At this point, I've decided that the Prowler is probably not for Brian. I see plenty of gamers online. We didn't watch any players play the game until... We didn't watch any YouTube videos of the game until after we had at least completed it twice. Yeah, twice. I don't think we watched any... We might have watched some during the second playthrough. I can't remember. But... in general, that's the way we approach these kind of big title games, the games that we really want to play in depth and explore to the utmost. We never watch anything about the game the first time, so we experience it raw. That means that we sometimes guess at what the achievements might be, because we don't even look at the achievement lists.
Burnt page from Submit to Freedom 2. What is freedom? It's a word and a concept rife with individual meaning, yet utterly meaningless in the scope of time and space. We are comprised of atoms, and each atom has a central nucleus that is orbited by electrons. The space between these elements is vast. We are mostly made of nothing. A hard fact to accept, but there is power in this knowledge. There's opportunity in acquiescence. There's strength in surrender, as long as you are willing to submit to freedom.
And you can see how Theodore's writings just kind of twist the whole... It twists freedom into submission, which is... I mean, the normal way of thinking about submission means that you're giving up your freedom. And Sebastian is turning that into a circular loop to where to be free, he's trying to convince you that you need to submit to the fates, the destiny, the whatever it is that the universe has planned for you. And then he's setting himself up to be the arbiter of what the universe is thinking, what the fates are thinking you should do. Whether that be a god, the universe, gods, whatever it is, he's setting himself up to be the one that's going to guide you in that freedom. So it's like the utmost of handing your freedom away. Now this is kind of... We've seen her Lily's tricycle in the blood just a few minutes ago back towards the gate. And now we've seen the painting, or it's not really a painting, you know, the finger painting of a 5-year-old drawing her family, mom, dad, and me. So it's beginning to give you a feeling for what these ruins might be, that they might not be the ruins of some ancient society. They may be somehow associated with the Castellanos family. You can see we're spending a lot of time running around, even where there aren't candles, just trying to get a feel for what the area is. It being a blind playthrough, we don't know what's in the area, so we spend a great deal of time just looking at everything. But here we find, finally, Lily's door. This is the actual goal of the end of this area, is to get to that. Consider the area completely done if you find that document, submit to freedom, and then you find this.
Mom never gave up. Not like you. She tried to tell you.
But you were too stupid to listen.
No, this isn't right.
Myra succeeded where you failed. You refused to listen. You lost them both, and then became lost yourself.
You know anything about me?
Myra understood that goals can be achieved by submission, by joining.
Why weren't you there when I needed you? Why weren't you there when I needed you?
Okay, so now we are in the third area. You'll recognize that kind of scene when we stepped in past Lily's door, and the area changed into what almost looks like an attic, but basically Lily's room. If you remember from even right from the very first cutscenes, the very first chapter 1 of the game, where Sebastian is trying to reach Lily in her bedroom while the house is on fire, and that's a nightmare, a reoccurring nightmare of his, trying to reach Lily while the house is burning. That was basically a scene from that. He gets up there, he finds her standing there, she comes to him, and then she bursts into flames. So his nightmare is playing out for him. Presumably he's not asleep, but he is attached to the stem, and Theodore is apparently able to pull those nightmares out and make them real to Sebastian. Now in this third area, they added the oil derricks. I'm not sure why the oil derricks, other than their splashing sounds kind of covers the sound of spawn. In this area, you'll find some spawn. You're also going to find this grave. This is what happened. Lily presumably died in that fire, or at least Sebastian and Myra both thought she died in that fire when their house burned down. You see there the dates. She was born on July 18th, 2006, and she died on February 14th, 2012, just about five months into her 6th year. That was what Sebastian and Myra went through. They buried their daughter. That was the gravesite that they created for her. They buried the remains of some poor child that was in that house. Now, whether the child was dead before the fire or died during the fire, we don't know, but remains were found of Lily's nanny and Lily, or at least what looked to be a 5-year-old girl at the time. So they had a funeral. They went through the entire cycle of grief, of burying their daughter. And you know how that's got to just haunt Sebastian. And it's clear that it does. I mean, he has the nightmares over and over, seeing his daughter burn. He wasn't, of course, there in real life when she, in real life, in the non-stem life of the game. He wasn't there when he thought she died. He still is trying to come to grips with her not having died, that Mobius actually took her and burned the house down. What's not ever really talked about by any of the characters is that there were bones of a 5-year-old child found in the ashes of that fire. So some 5-year-old child died. Now, I mean, you could take that anywhere you want to go. You can take it that Mobius stuck a 5-year-old girl in there to die horribly in a fire, or you could take it that they found the bones. They took the bones of a 5-year-old girl that died in some other fashion. But it had to be a reasonably healthy girl. I mean, okay, they're gonna believe that the girl burned in the fire, but the chances are they're not just bones, right? I mean, so it had to be a fairly recent corpse. Otherwise, it wouldn't look right to any sort of fire investigator. So something horrible happened there. We're never told whether Lily's nanny actually did die in the fire or didn't. So I just go with the assumption that she did. I mean, she wasn't needed by Mobius in any particular way. So she was just added more credibility to the story for Lily's nanny to die there in the fire with her. Well, with the child that was laying there the ashes. Now you've seen we've faced a spawn in here already. This area, those oil derricks, those pumping pistons, that sloshing sound kind of masks their more ambient sound. And so you do have to be careful in this area. They can just suddenly appear on you if you're not aware. Of course, by this time, your third area, I'm wanting to just get out of this. I'm wanting to move on to something that's a little bit more normal. In this area, the object that you will find is just over here in the corner between these walls and the pillar. And it's the last of the ammo pouches for the crossbow. So in each of the three areas, there were exactly one thing to find. So 3 things to find, 3 areas, 1 thing per area. Found a handgun pouch in the first area, a letter in the second, and now this pouch, your crossbow pouch. Now oftentimes you see there that the numbers that are highlighted, that moves it up to where we can now hold 10 crossbow bolts of each type. And if you use the crossbow cocking mechanism, where you, like if you are standing in front of a harpoon bolt, for instance, and you already have 10 of them in your inventory, if you switch to it, it'll cock one of them into the crossbow itself, and then you can pick up that one. So you can actually hold 11 of each of the items, each of the crossbow types. But oftentimes I've seen other gamers, it kind of pops up kind of quickly, and if you're not careful and paying real close attention, it says +1. Well, it was +1 of the pouches. That was the third of 3 pouches. So you went from 2 pouches to 3 pouches +1, but you actually increased all the way to 10. It didn't give you just 1 more bolt. It gave you, I think, 2 or 3. But you can now hold 10 crossbow bolts. So separate the number of the pouch versus the amount that the pouch will let you carry. I think pretty soon here you're going to see how you can get completely surprised by the spawn in this area. This guy turns around and he sees, screams. His scream brought this one over, and you saw right out of the corner, right bottom right hand corner of that screen was a spawn jumping at me. If I hadn't been dodging the other zombie, I would have been hit by that spawn. Almost a lucky shot. But you can see how hard they are to see. And just kind of running at you in the dark if you don't have your flashlight on. So you want to keep your flashlight on pretty much at all times in here. And one thing that wasn't apparent to me when I was playing this, like I said, this was a blind playthrough and we hadn't watched anybody else play. If you've watched other people play, you might notice that my monsters seem to be moving a little fast. We're not playing on some super high difficulty setting, we're on survival. But the difference is this is a 2017 game. It was originally created for the PS4. PS4 Pro being the top of the line PlayStation gaming system at the time. It ran at a fixed 30 hertz at 30 frames per second. Because of that, the game was built around that 30 frames per second. And the actual movement speed of many of the foes, the spawn specifically, and also we've already fought Liam, so you saw us fight Liam, but Liam and the types of foes like him, I think they're called disciples, their movement rates and attacks are based on frame rate. And so we're running this. Our PC would be capable of running this at much higher than 60 frames per second. Our monitor, our TV, is only capable of doing 4K at 60 frames per second. So we're limited to 60 frames. I believe in the game settings you can only set it to 30 or 60. So it's not like we could run it at 120. But I know that we're set at 60 frames. I know we're set at 60 frames because that's all my TV will ever refresh at. So 60 frames per second. Because of that, my monsters are exactly twice as fast. And I started when after we'd finished the game playthrough, I was like, man, that was kind of a challenging game. We died a lot. We died an awful lot for a blind run on a basic difficulty. It's one thing when you run the highest difficulty, nightmare or something, but kind of expect to die then. But on basic, we were a little surprised at how often we died. Well, it turns out that we're playing it at 2x the speed. The foes are all running at 2x the speed. So almost everything in the game is as fast or faster than Sebastian for us. It's an interesting approach. Kill it with an axe. Now, I mentioned early on that we were hesitant to use ammunition in here. Part of the reason being because a loud boom like we saw when we exploded that first, I think they're called gluttons. I think that's what they named those large monsters that explode. When a glutton gets close to you and explodes, the sound that it makes is heard echoing through the chamber, and it brought 3 or 4 zombies. So we've also noticed that if we fire the shotgun that we are likely to draw zombies and spawn to us. So we've been hesitant to use it, but we are also thinking there are 3 of these areas that the only thing that the maps don't work. You open your communicator and you try to look at the map. There is no map for this area. That means what we're theorizing that means is that we're not in Union. We're in a construct that's separate from Union. Very much like the safe room that Sebastian goes to, that Kidman calls his room or our room. Saw how fast that guy jumped up on us and how fast he can move to the side. I found during playing this, I guess it was because we were playing it at 60 hertz, but I found that I kind of had to aim in an area that I was expecting them to move into and then pull the trigger when they got to that area rather than, so almost trying to lead them rather than trying to aim at them, because aiming at them, by the time I've got the gun moved to where they are, they're gone. But we were fully expecting there to be a boss fight at the end of these 3 areas. Expecting to face Theodore, right? I mean, he's taunting us. Come, okay, fine. You want to find me? Come see me. And so, expecting 3 of these areas, it's likely that there's going to be a boss fight. So, figuring I need to have ammunition for that. We haven't seen a mirror in quite some time. You'll notice how easy it is to get turned around in here and not be sure, have I been to that candlelit area here or not? You know, is that the same pillar I was just at, or is that a different pillar? So we spend some time running between pillars here. You can kind of see floodlights over there that those aren't candles. Those are, big lights, work lights. Now, I don't know how I saw that, but something caught my attention, and I decided that he was out there. And sure enough, he saw him. If you can see them and have time to prepare for them coming, it's not too hard. Our weapons are upgraded enough that they're not the end-all be-all of foes anymore. But you can see some stairs down there and kind of around where those floodlights are. So this feels like the end of the level. It also feels like kind of the end of maybe this blood area. There's no big gate like there was between the first and the second areas, and this doesn't look like part of our home. But now we could walk down the stairs and maybe wind up in another one of these areas. But we're fully expecting a boss fight to be at the end of this blood-soaked land. Kind of hesitant, trying to see, and oftentimes just about the time that you really want to leave the area is the time that they'll put a key statue somewhere that you can get. Oddly enough, there are no keys in any of these blood realms. I mean, the only things to pick up are those two ammo pouches and the letter. I mean, you saw we found some resources, and of course, by killing the zombies and the spawn, we got a fair bit of green gel. So, I mean, certainly for any normal playthrough, that's something to be collected. Only in challenge runs using the classic mode where you can't upgrade Sebastian nor any of his weapons. The monsters don't drop green gel. You're not going to find green gel. You're also not going to find weapons parts. So exploring becomes almost futile. I mean, occasionally you'll find ammo. So if you can remember where the ammo is, good for you. Oftentimes it's kind of random where it's going to be. But you will want to pick up the pouches. The pouches are about the only thing that can save you there, is to have enough ammunition. Since you can't upgrade the weapons to be stronger, you're going to need to shoot a lot more times. All right, well, one last glance. Time to go down the stairs. And this is going to go into several cutscenes, so I'm pretty much going to stop talking here. I hope you enjoy this. This is a huge cliffhanger, and we will see you in the next episode after this cutscene. Make sure you watch it.
When it's too late, you're always too late.
I'm not going completely away. I will interject small little bits here and there, but we're not going to be able to talk about everything that happens in this episode, because it's all going to run right up to the cutscene.
After all this, you still want to be reunited with Lily?
I do. I need to find her.
Fine. Then come to me.
This area just screams boss fight, doesn't it? I'm like, maybe I can get a couple of cheap shots off to start with. Sniper time. No, nothing there. Thought maybe I should test to see if I can go into the columns, because if we could, that might be a place of refuge during the fight, something to circle around. You can see that they artificially cut you off. You cannot walk into those columns.
Lily? Is it really you? Lily. No. Lily.
There she is. Your precious daughter. Isn't this what you wanted?
Dad? You let this happen to me. Why didn't you save me?
No. Please. I couldn't. I wanted to.
Now watch his steps coming up here. They go to a great deal of effort to show you that she's backing away from the situation. Backing away from the nightmare that he relives every night.
You are doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. Unless you join me. Do that, and I can make your dreams come true. Together we can take Lily from Myra. Once I have the power of the core, you will be truly free.
No.
It will take more than bullets to stop me. Will you never learn?
You shot me, Sebastian. Why?
No. No.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.